Hello and welcome to Patch for the first for the month of August. I'm your host Paul James, and I'm again joined by Jay Parnas.
Fuck, this year's going past.
We're in August already. Things are starting to get busy. We're getting towards that busiest time of the year. So
yeah, that's right.
Before we jump into the busiest time of the year, we're actually going to go back to a game that came out last year and another one that came out a couple of years before. We're basically talking about a bunch of Blizzard titles here.
Yeah, it's like Blizzard's been dropping a bunch of shit lately. They are working pretty frantically over there. They're getting shit done.
Yeah, so let's focus on some recent additions to both Diablo and Overwatch before we jump into the main topic, which is framed around Overwatch.
Yeah.
What's new to those games lately?
So in the past month, Overwatch has put out a new map, which is the Horizon Space Colony.
Yeah.
No relation to Zero Dawn, don't worry. It's literally a map on the moon, so there's actually some low grav areas. And so the way the Blizzard has been doing their stuff with Overwatch is that they've been kind of teasing and hinting at like new characters, new environments and stuff like that. And one that they'd hinted about for a while, as far back as I think like January or February, was a character known as Doomfist.
Oh yeah, okay.
And in the last couple of weeks, he's been announced, shown off. He's been in the public test realm.
And now released, right?
And he will be released this week, the 27th of...
So like a week, last week.
Yeah. Sorry, the week of recording.
Good. No,
Sorry, updated the episode. Fuck, I did it.
We do it all the time.
Yeah. So yes, this coming week, which will be last week at the time of seeing this recording. So he's out. Go fucking play him. He's a offense character, but mostly deals in punching, which is pretty great. I was just telling you about some of the hijinks that you can get up to with some of his kit, and then there have been some whispers about some other characters that are also on the way as well. Like they are, because they aim to have I think 3 characters released a year, and they're also going to do this Summer Games event this year, even though there's no Olympic Games this year. So that people get another opportunity to get some of that gear, because the gear in Overwatch is effectively locked unless the event is active. So you can't go back and repurchase it. You can't get the loot boxes. None of that. So yeah, they'll be doing that. Plus, yeah, they've been teasing it potentially some other characters that will be on the way over the next, I guess, 3 to 6 months.
Fair enough.
So yeah, like it's all happening.
People who play Overwatch entertained.
For sure. I mean, from what we've seen of like Doom, because like obviously all of his abilities and everything they're out there, and people have been obviously testing it in the test realm. So people have been playing active matches with him, and you can kind of see how he plays and that sort of stuff. It's look, it's a little bit of a shame that they don't have more in the healing and support classes as of yet. There's definitely there's an overwhelming number of damage dealers, so it means that you'll have a lot of people that will pick those classes. Which is, you know, but I mean, I feel like they will catch that up. Because
you've got to keep balance.
They have been balancing games for a long time.
They'll have a lot of data there that suggests the direction they need to head next, and then they'll create a clever character around that.
If they haven't already and are kind of doing the Blizzard inside testing, because
true.
They like Ana was the first character that came out around about this time last year, and then they had Sombra that came out. Was it around BlizzCon maybe? Which was November.
Oh, yeah, if I was going to say a rough window, I'd say the end of the year. So,
and then I think Orisa came out January, February this year, which was when they started teasing the Doomfist stuff, because they're from the same country. And so they actually, like, for that, like, to elaborate on that stuff I touched on earlier, they actually fucked up one of their maps. And by fucked up, I mean they trashed it.
Oh, okay.
So like you start in this airport and you got to get to a payload and then move the payload. And the payload it was actually a Doomfist gauntlet, because Doomfist is like a name, but there have been multiple of them, and they're all like, one of them was a good guy, then a bad guy, and then the next guy's a bad guy as well.
Yeah.
And they've got an exhibition, like an actual like a museum exhibition, and that's where the defenders will start from.
Oh, okay.
In one of the checkpoints anyway. In the start, which was, as I said, like an airport terminal or like a train terminal or something like that, they actually changed it around where there was like robots that had been beaten up, and one that was like punched into like almost like a half crater into the wall, and
not bad.
And the payload had been like where the gauntlet had been was like this glass container, and it had been smashed and it's gone now.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously the
okay,
character
right.
is like it's like little bits like that. So
yeah, the little bit of context that goes with it.
yeah, and they did like ARGs and stuff with Sombra, and they the way that they release their characters is they kind of drive hype in their community in really cool and interesting ways.
Oh, I've seen plenty of that over the years, even games that I've not played.
But so the Orisa character is a robot, and it was built from the scraps of the robot, the robots that all got fucked up in that instance, like that event that happened, or like they're like, oh yeah, some bad guy did some dirt and like messed up all these security robots who were trying to protect it, and then from that you've got a hint about the next character, but also this character was developed and they released that, so it makes sense. Yeah, it's this interesting like the way that they're leading from character to character, and yeah, there's been people saying, oh look, there might be something in the collateral that they've released around Doomfist, like comics and stuff like that. Or maybe there might just link people to the next. There was a couple of scenes in there where one of the other characters that was already in the game, Widowmaker, happened to be hanging out with Doomfist, part of the same criminal organization or whatever. She happened to be playing like shooting dice. They were in a casino, and the first number that she rolls is a 7. The next number she rolls is a snake eyes, and so a lot of people are speculating that around BlizzCon time, the 7th of November, because that's how the rest of the world does it, might be when the next character comes out. Or little bits and pieces like that. Like that's how they they're clever
with the way they market.
Yeah, they get hype. Now whether that's true or not remains to be seen.
No, but
it would be very
speculation. Just
the hype,
this fever pitch thing that doesn't matter then what they announce or when it
they
happens.
are a train station for hype trains. They come, do it well. They come and go at all times of the day. It's all interesting.
While we're speaking about classes or characters that have been added, Diablo got a new class.
Yes,
you're a big Diablo fan. If you watch any of these episodes,
I do like me some Diablo. It's a fun game. I love loot games. Loot games are great because it drives you to keep going without really asking too much of you, if that makes sense. It's like just keep playing the game, man. It's all good. You'll eventually find new stuff and have fun, and you can get the intricacies between different bits of gear and so on and so forth. That's why I like it. But for the first time in a few years, they've put out a new character. Originally that game launched with 4 characters, which was the Barbarian, Demon Hunter, Monk, and Witch Doctor. When they had their big Reaper of Souls update, they added in the Crusader class, and now this was announced at, I think it was at E3 or BlizzCon last year, I think.
Probably BlizzCon. It wouldn't have been E3, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember they might have teased it at E3 time, but I think they confirmed it. Yeah, they confirmed it later at BlizzCon, because I remember it was around the same time as PAX Oz last year.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
I remember going to get lunch, sitting there with my phone in one hand, reading all this BlizzCon news while I was eating. And yeah, so it's the Necromancer class returning from Diablo 2, and they've done a fantastic job of. And again, that's been in the public test realm for Diablo for the last couple of months, and it goes live. It is a paid expansion.
Yeah, so I saw that, and I saw a price tag of like $20 odd Australian. And I was like, why the hell are we getting charged so much for a character? But there's more to it than that.
There's not a lot more to it than that.
We're getting charged $20 for a character.
Yeah. And, I mean, you get some character slots and stuff like that. But the way that I see this, and look, that's how some people have been reacting, and I appreciate that as your first response. But you have to remember that Diablo 3 came out in 2012. It is now 2017. They've had 1 paid expansion since then, and they've been supporting the game. They added seasons, which is where they drop additional content every 3 months.
Yeah, I'm not saying they shouldn't charge.
They've added all the greater rifts. They basically they took their end game, which was non-existent, and they've created potentially one of the best end games in any form of loot game ever.
I don't know.
And all of that content was free.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that it's costing them to do all those things. I would have been okay with maybe and this is Australian dollars, but a $7 or $8 price for it, because this is Blizzard. They're making hand over fist money every month on World of Warcraft. Yeah, they can afford to eat it on a few people who are going to download.
How much is a season pass? Usually these days.
Ranging from 30 through to 70, 80, depending on the game, what it is and how much they plan to give you.
Right. But usually they give you, at most, for some of the more expensive ones, maybe 3 to 4 content packs. Packs.
Yeah, thereabouts. I don't dispute the amount of content.
No, I know.
In this case.
Right, but what I'm saying is the original game launched at full price. The Reaper of Souls / Crusader update was similarly priced to the Necromancer now. $15-20, $15 US, right? That's now totaled $30. Plus all of the free content they've given you for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I'd be saying that's hit people up for that, not a character, because I think they're probably lost more doing it this way. And I know they're not necessarily. I mean, Blizzard. Sure, they're part of Activision, so
they were out there with they were out there with costs for a long time. Like they've said that this was around about the cost it was going to be.
Yeah. Oh no, I know they were forward about that too.
But again,
I don't agree with that.
The point that I'm trying to make is though that you said the very much lower range of a season pass, $30. Only now, after 5 years worth of content, where they've been adding it for free, they've had 2 big packs that you've had to pay for.
Yeah, now they're in that lower tier.
And now, only now have they cracked that lower tier. Like, if now they'd cracked that upper tier, if they had multiple bits that they'd charged for, like, okay, we're going to charge you for the Crusader, plus we're also going to charge you for the Reaper of Souls portion, which was another act of the story. We're going to charge for those separately. And we've got this new season thing. It's going to be a buy-in thing every year. Like, there is... How they are charging for Diablo 3 is not egregious. There are certainly more examples of more prominent games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That are way more like map packs.
Yeah, I just don't agree that this was perhaps the right way of doing it. They're still done.
Call of Duty $20 map pack. That segregates your player base.
Don't get me started on COD, but yeah, I follow what you mean.
Like, but it's still Activision. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's all well and good to say, oh, they're owned by Activision. This is Activision's bad.
No, I don't. Blizzard still marches to their own beat. I just don't think that this was the right way to do it in this particular case. To your point, they've not screwed anyone over. They've actually been really, really quite generous. But I think they could have distributed that better so that this doesn't look like some outrageous "why are you charging me $20 for a character" deal.
I suppose, but you have to remember that they're still putting so many...
For a perception thing.
They're putting so many man-hours into a game that's...
Because I know the amount they put in.
5 years old.
And I know the amount of effort they've put in with it. I've not messed with the season stuff, but I know how much content that's been created by that, that's come from that.
And all the adventure mode
and yet
stuff.
I still look at a I think it was $21 or $22 character. I'm like, nope, not going anywhere near it. Why would I pay $22 for a character? Whereas if they'd have just...
led you along the way.
That distributed across their seasons instead, and it might hit you up for $7 or $8. Like everything's a bit smaller. They may end up charging less over the. It's the perception thing. I think more.
I guess, but for you getting in on the ground floor, like you have a copy of Diablo 3, don't you?
Yeah.
If you didn't, and you were to buy the Eternal, like
whatever the
Eternals pack,
yeah,
which is literally just a full price copy of Diablo, which gets you Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls. And the Necromancer, and that's just
how much are they hitting up for?
Like a regular
normal retail
price.
Yeah, fairly good deal when it's all in that. Like that's.
But that's my point. Like people are looking at this as okay, well this is one character. Well, no, it's not. Like if you're already invested in this game, you've been given up to 5 years worth of content with one buy-in of $15 prior to this. And now it's another $15 buy. If they give you another 5 years, with
off the back of that.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's like they've given you 5 years with one $15 purchase prior to this. Again, I'm talking US dollars here, right? That's not like I bought
Keep up with all the conversions, people. I'm doing Aussie dollars. He's doing US.
Yeah, I've only been playing the game for maybe a bit over a year, and I bought the Reaper of Souls edition that was for the Xbox One.
Yeah.
and I got it on sale, so I got it for maybe $50. So for me, I got what it would have been a 4-year-old game then.
Yeah.
And I paid $60. I paid maybe $45. It was $60 full retail. Got it on sale. If you want to do the math and charge me $20 for that Australian,
you're still paying less than
that's a $20 game plus a $20 expansion, and now I paid another $20 expansion. That's $60 total that I paid for this game. Like, you're not looking at and that's the thing. Like, I know I'm kind of drilling down on this, but it's like I think that those who just look at the straight up dollar figure are not looking at all of the content that this game has. This game, like, how much were people paying for the Taken King for Destiny?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember what the price was. Sorry.
More than that.
Yeah, it would have been more than that.
And while this is only a single character, all of the additional content around it that's been added has, in a similar fashion, but I would say to a greater degree, added a way better endgame to a very similar, like, it's a loot-based game. They're both loot-based games, but the support that Diablo 3 has had compared to the support that Destiny has had, like, they're already onto their next full-price game.
Yeah.
That they're going to throw out to you how many years later? Two to three? This is a game that's 5 years deep.
Yeah, and they're still going.
They're still going, and they're still going very strong. Like, they're still adding, like, they, at the same time that this released, they added additional free content and additional, like, it's a randomized rift, which is basically, it's more repeatable content.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Again, I know I'm drilling home on it probably a little too much, but I don't want their economics to be compared unfairly to some of the other egregious bullshit that we see.
Yeah, that's fair
at the moment.
All right, we're going to flick back to Overwatch. This is because there's the Overwatch League, so the big esports sort of professional setting thing here. Now, neither of us are big esports people, but it's kind of big that Blizzard, Overwatch specifically, is getting into this space. So the Overwatch League was announced a fair while back.
Did you hear? Sorry,
initially back in June.
As a side note, did you hear that? I think it was Major League Baseball has taken them to court about their logo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this logo.
I'll sub it into the thing.
Yeah. The the Overwatch League logo. I think right at the moment there's currently some legal issues going on with that. Even though the Major League
Baseball is similar to the NBA's
one. It's red and blue, and yes, there's also the Major League Gaming and like Major League.
It's something they won't win.
It's ridiculous. Like this even has different colours.
Yeah, our 7 teams have been revealed. Now keep in mind this is a professional setting. I'll talk a bit more specifically about kind of the origins of those in a moment. But we've got teams from a few different spots around the world. Mm-hmm. The selection criteria is basically where concentration of players were.
Yep.
Of the top tier players. So despite the fact that we've got plenty of people out here in Australia, probably more than actually none of those countries we have a greater population than. But we've got some serious players of the game here, but not enough of them to warrant the team.
Yes.
So
I've seen some of them in action. It is rough.
Yeah.
It is rough to look
Boston, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Miami/Orlando. They're bundling those two together. You got 5 of the 7 teams based out of the US, along with a team from Shanghai and Seoul.
Okay.
So,
did we get one?
No, we don't have one. There's nothing in Europe yet. It's America and South Korea, China at the moment.
Sure.
Interested to see China, given that China's still obviously the largest population in the world, but the gaming thing's been very small because it's only been in recent years where they've actually allowed consoles and all that sort of stuff in there.
I think Overwatch is pretty big there, though.
Oh, it would be, but it's just it's actually highlighting that little point.
They had a Chinese New Year event not that long ago. So
really?
Maybe that was to feed into that. Who knows?
Just starting to sow the seeds a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
So we get the thing that's important about these, that they're actually they're all professional teams and they've all got big backing. So like we've got one guy who owns Kraft and the New York Mets or Jets or whatever they are. Like they've got all these ties to
two different sports teams.
Mets
and the Jets.
I know one's NFL and maybe they're both NFL. I have no idea. But like they've got all these affiliations and ties to big established. New York Knicks. And the Nets is the New Jersey Nets. So you got your Mets and Jets and then the Nets for basketball.
Fuck everything.
Yeah. America. But
Sports.
Yeah, the thing that is
everything.
most important to note is the fact that all these are tied to either really big financial backers or companies or those sorts of things. They've got that sort of sponsorship in a similar sort of deal that I don't know whether you caught the news, but in South Australia there's an esports team now that's actually part of the Adelaide Footy Club.
No.
Yeah.
What?
So like in the similar sort of fashion we're talking about here.
What do they play?
I have no idea what it was, but there's an esports team. They're like representing Australia,
No
and
shit.
and the AFL is trying to lead they're trying to have an esports thing under the umbrella where
Maybe I
it's
should try
linked
to
to
get
the
better at
different footy
video
clubs.
games.
Where you can be with the Essendon Bombers and shoot up.
Oh, I don't care. Like, give me a paycheck. I don't give a fuck.
But the AFL's trying to get that going.
Let me tell you how
I guess
little
internally
allegiance I
before
have.
potentially building that up to then maybe
Yeah.
compete on the world
Well-
stage in whatever esport they particularly.
I mean, again, at the time of the recording for this one, Evo was last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And that shit gets on ESPN in the US. Like that.
It's getting bigger and bigger. The esports
And I'm
scene.
not talking like ESPN 10, I'm talking ESPN 2.
The prime stuff.
Yeah, and like Disney XD and stuff like that. And obviously you've got the Dota World Championships coming up very soon, and that's currently got a prize pool of millions and millions of dollars. Like it's...
Oh, Kraft, and no, it wasn't the Mets or Jets. The Patriots. New England
Oh, you were
Patriots.
you were close.
I did see the Mets and I can see New York Mets for one of the other teams as well. So
Yeah, right,
that's
okay.
I've got my things mixed up.
Sure. But yeah, like esports is huge.
And its presence just seems to be getting bigger, and it's really interesting that Blizzard's getting into it in that capacity. That they're making a really professional thing as quickly as they are. Given the things that we tend to see in that esports space are, well, COD's obviously a big one. You see StarCraft,
Counter-Strike.
but these are all long established things, and
Starcraft.
yeah, and with 30 years, 30 million sales under its belt. Overwatch has already joined that group. 30 million sales.
Yeah, Overwatch is
Massive.
well. That's the thing. I was actually I was thinking about, because I knew that we were going to do this topic ahead of time. And it's very easy to forget that they also run World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Like, it's the biggest MMO in the world.
Yeah, still. Like, it's not what it was, but it is still the biggest, yeah.
But, I mean, at the moment, on the go, they've got World of Warcraft. They're just... Like, another bit of news is the StarCraft HD...
Remaster. Yeah. And rumours of Warcraft... some of the old Warcraft games get the
3,
same treatment,
some of that sort of stuff, yeah. So
And
they've got
Diablo
that.
2, potentially, as well.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Plus, they've got actively Diablo 3 running, Overwatch running, StarCraft 2 is running. Like...
Yeah. They're a busy company.
Yeah.
They're massive too, obviously.
Yes, they are. Well, I mean, not as massive as their player base. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
no.
They are catering to. Like, I would
Millions and millions of
like to
people.
know what percentage of gamers Blizzard caters to.
It'd be larger than any other portion.
Oh, by a long way.
And I think largely due to Overwatch.
Probably-
realistically, because you throw.
Like, would they
30
be in the
million straight
ballpark of like how many players Nintendo services or Sony
in there.
services?
Not the modern Nintendo, but Nintendo Prime. Yeah, probably. Nintendo in their prime was Super Nintendo, so the community is way smaller than it is now.
Yeah, I
So
suppose, yeah.
I don't know. It's a tricky one. PlayStation, yeah, it's probably your closest parallel, and that's because that's the most successful console at the moment.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, when we're talking about serving to, we're
But
also
even Overwatch shifted 30 million units, and the biggest PlayStation exclusive was Uncharted 4 that sold 8,
yeah.
which is still awesome. Don't get me
But
wrong.
that's a single platform game.
Yeah, I mean, you extrapolate that across PC, Xbox One, and maybe it gets close. Probably caps at 20 or something,
But that's the thing. Like,
but that's one.
are they
game,
also
and then,
Are they also going to put out something new? Is there a Diablo 4? Is there a
I think there
StarCraft
is
3?
somewhere,
Is there-
but I don't think we'll see them for a while.
But that's the thing. Like, they've got so
we
much.
get Warcraft 4, not
they have
World of
so much still going,
Yeah,
and like everything they shit out is gold. Like,
yeah,
everything.
they don't put a toe wrong.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, it's just phenomenal, because it's like, surely they have to be working on something new, but Like, they've still got all this other stuff. And then, oh, yeah, right, of course, World of Warcraft is still kicking on with, what, maybe sub 10 million players?
Yeah. Yeah, they're still... But 10 million is still a massive number.
Yes, it is.
And especially with a paid model.
Yeah, that's more than... if every single person who bought a copy of Uncharted put in their disc and started playing at the same time...
Yeah.
That's still probably around about the amount of people they've got currently actively playing World of Warcraft.
I don't get it.
It's insane. It's like, but that's the thing. You know that they have to be working on something new.
Yeah. So how do they? As we sign it off,
they juggle.
We know that they're working on, as we've spoken about, DLCs and other bits and pieces for all these other games. What is their next project? What's their next actual game release?
The next game release.
Not add-on content, but actual next game release.
StarCraft HD.
Outside of remasters. So.
Yeah. Their next new, are we talking IP or sequel?
Yes, IP or sequel, yeah. It'd be a fair effort if you managed to nail the IP, a new IP.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, man,
I'm saying Diablo 4 is next. I'd say they go back to that well quicker than what we probably expect.
I'd probably say Warcraft.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not talking about a World of Warcraft expansion.
No, I'm talking straight up
Warcraft 4.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Or maybe a spin-off of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe
Overwatch too big to get a sequel anytime.
Sorry, fucking Heroes of the Storm. That's the other active one that they've got. Sorry, I knew there was one other one. Yeah,
tends to get forgotten in those conversations. But yeah,
but I mean, it's still stable.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They're in the same punching ring as Dota 2 and League of Legends, and they're not dead. That's something, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Warcraft 4 it is.
Maybe, I don't know. Look, maybe they might look to try and expand Overwatch into something bigger. Maybe they might try to build a single player something with that.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. Maybe it depends, because Overwatch is shit hot for them right now. Yeah. So maybe they try and hit while the iron's hot.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't know. I think if they're going to still keep developing for Diablo 3 the way that they are, they've just put out a big thing that changes balance a lot, and they've had to work a lot to do. I think, sure, if they want to go for Diablo 4, they're going to kind of have to say, okay, cool, all these...
I don't think whatever it is going to be for a while.
They'd have to keep it live. They'd have to keep Diablo 3 live while Diablo 4 launches. Yeah. And it's difficult to set, because you'd be segmenting that. Who knows? Maybe they do the Gearbox / Bungie, and maybe they try and make a first-person loot shooter.
Yeah, potentially.
And you know what? Considering the shooting of Overwatch and the looting of Diablo, they could probably do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And fuck it, set it in the Warcraft universe. Yes. Who cares? Fucking do it.
So with that, that's another episode of Patched in the Books. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Visit player2.net.au for all the awesome written content. Paul James P2 on Twitter, Player2AU on Twitter for links to all the articles and episodes of this that come out. Jay doesn't do the Twitters.
No, just send Paul a personal email and I'll respond.
So otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again later.